Hello, welcome to another Fortnight on the Isle, my bi-weekly update series. This episode is kind of a strange one because I was expecting to not be covering half of what I'm covering this week because I thought I was going to be recording this a couple days earlier on account of a family reunion happening this weekend, which we do every Memorial Day weekend, my family does. But the thing is, my dad got sick, so the reunion isn't really happening to that degree, and so it's more of a normal update this time around. That said, I am still going on vacation next weekend, so I still have a little bit of work ahead of me to do this week to make sure everything's caught up so that, video schedule and whatnot isn't messed up. Sorry for hitting the microphone there. I'll already have to catch up on monthly wrap-up type stuff once I'm back from my vacation early next week, but, that shouldn't be too much trouble, especially since I'm not having to overly prepare for certain stuff right now. But yeah, just normal stuff over here at this point in time. The reading has been a little bit haphazard recently, however, because I would say last week I got, 2 weeks ago I got quite a bit read, but then last week I got basically nothing read. But it's also been different stuff than I would have preferred, if that makes any sense. I'll, go ahead and just mention at the beginning of this section here that I, of course, did continue with and ingest my big reading project for the moment. I'm actually a pretty decent amount of the way through. I haven't calculated what percentage I'm at right now at this exact moment, but I'm on page 375 out of the 979 pages that are in the book, not counting endnotes. So that's a pretty decent chunk. I am getting through it a little bit quicker than I was expecting to, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's been easier either. But since a video on this reading diary to come out, I think next Thursday actually, and we'll get to that in the coming releases, will be coming out. I'm going to be recording a video for this probably tomorrow, so we'll see how things go with that as I finish the chapter I'm currently on so that I can record that video. Otherwise, I did not get very much read over the last couple weeks. I did do the Orchard Keeper, I think I did about 40% of this immersive and the rest of it audio, and this one I didn't love, I didn't hate. It's one that I feel like I should have disliked but didn't. In fact, I think the main reasons why I didn't really like it too much were very much not the same as the reasons why I didn't really like some of the other McCarthy books that I've read up to this point. I did do a review of that on Goodreads that kind of goes into some of that. It's not one of my in-depth reviews. It just kind of goes through a few of the points that I wanted to talk about, and that was mostly what that did. Then I did also listen to the Sunset Limited just on Audible, which is the play that McCarthy did. It's less than 2 hours, and that audio is actually very good. It was very nearly the first 5-star McCarthy that I've read, and, knowing me, that kind of says something. There's one gripe that I had with the way that he chose to end it, that basically held it back from being 5 stars, but I think it was also of a quality where if I were to re-listen to it now again, knowing what to expect for the end and kind of listen through with that in mind, I probably would rate it 5 stars. So the Sunset Limited is pretty good. If you haven't done that, I would recommend it. And I'll also recommend that one specifically on audio because the audiobook is narrated by 2 actual actors, voice actors, portraying their respective character. And it was, pretty intriguing in a lot of ways. Otherwise, I finally finished The House of Hades by Rick Riordan, which I was planning to finish very shortly after the last one of these monthly or bi-weekly updates, and that didn't end up happening as planned, unfortunately for me, but even so, I did really enjoy the book. I stand by my previous assertion that it is the best book of the series thus far. I don't think Blood of Olympus is going to top it, but we'll see. I remember having a lot more nostalgia for Blood of Olympus than for any of the other books in the series, so I'm looking forward to that reread relatively soonish. But that is basically all of the reading that I got done, besides some other secret work that I can't really talk about. So I'm just going to jump right into the bi-weekly writing, and who would have thunk it, I didn't get any writing in the Reign of Ash done again this fortnight, which is kind of weird to say because I could have swore I did, but looking through all of my notes and everything, I guess I just didn't. Work has been a little bit too busy for anything to get done, shockingly enough. I don't know why work's been so steadily busy the last couple weeks, but it definitely has been, and that's really affected some of my time that I would normally allocate to doing that kind of stuff there. And then at home, I've been busy editing videos and getting some other stuff prepared so that most of the summer is taken care of, which should allow me to do a lot more writing through the rest of the summer, so we'll see how that goes. But I did get another few brief reviews written for Goodreads on books, like I mentioned before. About 2,500 words in total, I think, which I'm actually surprised by because I wrote like the next 1,000 words of the Fires of Heaven review, so I finally finished that, got that up there. I wrote that sort of brief review for this, like I mentioned. I wrote a brief review for the Sunset Limited. I also wrote a brief review for the House of Hades. So all of those just kind of added up a little bit to give me like 2,500 words written for reviews, maybe even a little bit more than that. Yeah, wait, yeah, something like that. I don't even remember. I think it was actually 2,500 words, not counting the Fires of Heaven review. So I don't know. I was not paying too much attention when I was doing my counting last night. But either way, let's move on to the coming releases, some of the videos you can expect on the channel, which I've already tipped my hand in a couple regards here. But this Tuesday will be yet another review. Speaking of McCarthy, it won't be of The Orchard Keeper, but it will be of the Border trilogy. So that trilogy, which had some stuff that I really liked and some stuff that I really didn't. I decided to review all three of those books at once in that video. That will be up on Tuesday the 28th. On Thursday, the 30th, I will be doing more of a discussion video where basically I posed the question a little while back for some people in a couple servers I'm in, asking them, well, do you prefer mood reading or do you prefer TBR reading? Which side of the aisle do you fall on? I kind of split the answers into 4 different groups of people and talked about what some of the reasons people gave for why some people fall into a specific group, whichever one they did. So that video was pretty fun. That will be out on the 30th, like I said. Next week on the 2nd will be the 11th episode of Short Story Sundays, this time on The Whole Town Sleeping by Ray Bradbury, which is a very good story and everyone should go read it. Next Tuesday on the 4th will be my May reading wrap-up and June TBR, so I'll actually probably end up recording that video like this Thursday. Actually, no, that's a lie, because this Thursday is when I'm leaving to go out of town, so I'll probably do that on Wednesday, a few days before the end of the month. But based off of my reading plans, like, I'm not going to be finishing anything else. In fact, I've already finished most of what I've read. The only ongoing read that I have at this exact moment is Infinite Jest. So I could technically just record that video right after this one if I really wanted to. But the next Thursday on the 6th, like I mentioned before, will be the second reading diary spoiler talk thing for Infinite Jest. That one is going to be a very scrambled video. I was not expecting the first one of those diaries to be like, what was it, like 50 minutes long by the time I got done with it? Maybe a little shorter, but the recording was like an hour long. Oh man, the final video was 40 minutes. I remember that now. But the recording was an hour when I finished that, and I think this recording for this the amount that I've read since then is going to be a lot longer, and that is deeply concerning. But yeah, I'll probably be recording that video tomorrow. Somewhere in there next week as well will be the State of Affairs video. I'm not sure exactly when, because I don't record those until after the 1st of the month so that I can get, the proper information in for statistics related stuff. So I might be able to get that recorded and everything on Monday, maybe. But even if whether I do or not, it's not going to really matter. That video might come out on the 5th. I'm not entirely sure if it will be the 5th. I'll try to make it the 5th instead of the 7th. But yeah, so, monthly update stuff that I'll have to do after, the turn of the month. On the second channel, turns out I lied to you last fortnight. It was not episodes 7 and 8 of the Remnant from the Ashes playthrough that came out over the last couple weeks. It was episode 7 and 7.5, a sort of interim episode that, doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of the playthrough, but I had recorded and edited anyway. Episodes 8 and 9 will actually be coming out over the next couple weeks on the 31st and 7th, respectively. As for entertainment talk, I do have a couple things to talk about just because I played a little bit of games over the last couple weeks. Yeah, my mind's been scrambled, so I've just kind of played stuff that were a little bit simpler and easier to get through. I played Tales of Kenzera Zao, which is not like a phenomenal game, but it was a solid game. I think it's been getting a little bit more hate than I think it deserves from plenty of people. It's pretty linear as far as Metroidvanias go, which, kind of is strange for the genre. Normally there's a lot of interconnectivity going on there that Zao just didn't, but I thought that that was actually fine for what it was doing based off of the way the story worked out. Like I think it was perfectly fine for the game to play out that way, and it also made just playing the game a little bit easier. It meant I wasn't getting lost. It meant that time being quote-unquote wasted was at a minimum, which was pretty nice, and it was also a pretty easy platinum trophy to get, so I appreciated that. And I also started a replay of Grime for absolutely no reason at all. This will be my third playthrough of the game, but my first time playing since any of the DLC has come out, so I've already seen some stuff in the game that I never saw the first 2 times that I played it before, which has been pretty fun, you know, just making occasional progress now and again, because I decided I wanted to play the game again because I hadn't played the DLC yet, so you know, nothing too crazy going on that front, but it has been a fun time regardless. Music Talk was not going to be a full bag this time. If I had recorded this video on Thursday when I thought I was going to because of the family reunion, I would not be talking about basically any of these releases because like 2 things came out before this week. This past Friday is when everything released, so there's a few things to talk about, a couple things that I can't actually say much about yet though. But starting with the singles, A Night in Texas did release a new single called Apex of Agony, which I thought was actually really good. It's generally not my style of deathcore per se, but it was a really fun track regardless. I actually found it to be quite enjoyable despite being something that I typically wouldn't love to listen to just because I could. Outline and Color released a single called Won't Let Myself Become You, which was a pretty good single. It's the first one of their songs that I've checked out in a solid 2 years or something like that. And actually went back and listened to a couple EPs I hadn't realized were released back, you know, during the supposed end times, which, you know, those EPs were fun. There were a couple really cool songs and got me some melodies in my head that I actually wrote that were kind of similar to those that were it was a pretty entertaining time to listen to that. Wage War also released a single called Tombstone, which I don't love, but I don't hate either. I think I might like Nails back from a few weeks back a little bit more than Tombstone, but it seems they're doing a different type of heavy than they've been doing even for the last couple records, which has been kind of entertaining, so we'll see what the new album that they're going to drop brings. I'm not sure if I'm going to listen to any more Wage War singles because I know that they historically drop pretty short records, and I don't want to listen to too much of it before that drop. Normally with Wage War, I like their releases more when I listen to them a few times in full, rather than getting used to a couple songs and then experiencing the rest blind, if that makes any sense. As for albums, there's 4 albums that released from bands that I've been following in one capacity or another, but only 2 of these have I had the chance to listen to so far. Mortal Reminder released a self-titled album called Mortal Reminder, which I didn't even realize released until this morning when I was finishing up editing notes for this video. So I haven't had a chance to listen to that, but I'm excited to give it a shot. Tara Mays released an album called Eli, A Wonderful Fall from Grace, which was pretty solid. I think it was better than the previous album or 2 that I've listened to from them. I haven't listened to all of their library yet, but I thought the album was pretty good, but was very surprised to find that, what were the singles called? I think Perfect World and Black Noise or something like that weren't even on the album, and I really liked those singles. Perfect World especially is probably my favorite song that I've listened to from them so far, and it wasn't even on the album, which I found a little bit disappointing, if I'm being completely honest. Capstan released an album called The Mosaic, which somehow this band, I wasn't even following them on Spotify for a while, so I wasn't even aware anything was going to be happening with them until I randomly saw them in my YouTube feed because I was subscribed to them on YouTube from when I was using YouTube Music and not Spotify. And I was like, oh, they released a new album, I should listen to that. It's a long album, I haven't had a chance to listen to it, so I might report back if I get the chance. But the other big, most major release probably of the week was Bring Me the Horizon's next post-Human record called Next Gen, which I don't know if this was meant to be an album as long as it is, or if they decided over the course of constructing it, instead of releasing 2 EPs, kind of like the first Posthuman was, if they would just combine 2 of them, because I remember them saying Posthuman was going to be a 5 EP series or something like that. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but Next Gen was pretty good. I don't think on balance is as good as the first post-human release, but there were definitely a few songs that I really liked on it, and was a little bit surprised by. I wasn't going into this one with super high hopes for whatever reason, because like of the, I don't know, 5 singles that they released over the past few years that ended up on this record, I think 2 of them I really liked, 1 of them I thought was okay, and the other 2 I didn't like. So like I said, I wasn't going into it with very high hopes, but I ended up enjoying it nonetheless. But if there's any of these that you've listened to, let me know what you think of them. Definitely check out that monthly reading wrap-up and TBR video that will be coming out next Tuesday, like I said, on the 4th of next month, because that's where I'm going to be going into what I'm going to be reading pretty soon, because, like I said, the only book that I'm reading right now is Infinite Jest, and well, I have like 3 books that I'm immediately going to be starting pretty soon, and I'm not talking about those in this video. But without anything extra to say, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here before this video gets to be a little bit too long and unwieldy like the last couple Fortnights on the IRL have been. But thank you for checking out this video. If you did, I'll be back in the next one.